Hello guys, welcome to NameTech channel. My name is Nehemiah and I'm very happy to have you on board. So this is lesson 8 on Matplotlib and we are going to talk about the scatter. But then before we begin, please subscribe, like and share the video to your friends. And to the returning subscribers, I really appreciate you very much for your continuous support. Now guys, basically without further ado, let's begin straight away. Now with pyplot, you can use the scatter function to draw a scatter plot, and the scatter function plots one dot for each observation. Guys, basically it needs two arrays of the same length, one for the values of the x-axis and one for the values of the y-axis. Just like what we've been doing in the previous tutorial, the x-axis and the y-axis must be the same. Let me show you guys an example straight away. First of all, you must import the modules. So first of all, let's import matplotlib. Matplotlib.pyplot. Matplotlib.pyplot. But then there's an alias plt. Also, we are going to import numpy. Numpy is what? np alias. I think, yeah, it's okay. Then now let's create now the variables. For x-axis, let me just call it x. Let me not use the complicated stuff. Then let me assign it to a numpy array np dot array, and then I'm gonna pass in a list, and then in this list, perhaps guys, I can just give it any random values, or you can give it any one. Let me just use 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, or let me use 11, and then what? Then perhaps 12, and then 13. You can give it any value, guys. Just give it any value, and then this. Let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There are 13. So for the y-axis, let me call it y. So it should be y now. Then let me assign it to a numpy array once again. And then here, let me pass in a list of the y-axis, of the values of the y-axis. Perhaps let me just add in some values. 86, 87, just random values. 88, even 111, 86, also 103, 87, 94, 94, 78, 94, 78, 77, 77, 85, 86. 86. Let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There are 13. So we are good. So let's now plot our scatter graph. So in this case, we are going to use the PLT, the matplotlib.pyplot function here. And then we are going to pass in. We are going to use the scatter function to plot the scatter graph. And then we are going to pass in the values of the x-axis and the y-axis, basically of the y-axis. Now to visualize, we are going to use plt dot show function. I think everything is okay. Let me run. I hope there's no error. Yeah, guys, basically you can see we have just now plotted this graph. It is now working very, very well. So guys, let's assume that these are 13 cars, and basically let's assume the x-axis shows the how old the car is. then the y-axis shows the speed of the car. Then you can assume that the newer the car, the higher the speed. But then guys, that's not the case. I've just used for the sake of for the example. But then guys, let's now discuss how to compare plots. In this example, there seems to be a relationship between the age and the speed. But what if we plot the observation from another day as well? Perhaps the scatter plot tells us something else. So we need to compare. So we need to draw perhaps two plots, but then of the same figure and compare. So what we do, guys, let's perhaps let me add in a comment here. First of all, let me zoom in a bit for you to see what I'm doing here, and then perhaps let me add in a comment. Then perhaps let me say this is day one, the age. Let me call it the age and speed. The age and speed of 13 cars. And then what I'm gonna do, guys, let me just copy. Let me just copy what? Let me just copy these values. Let me copy, and then what I do here at the bottom, let me just paste it there. Then what we do here, let me just change it to 2. Then here, let me perhaps increase to 15 the 15 cars. Now, so what I'm gonna do, guys, here just after perhaps let me add in some extra values, or should I just change? Let me just change the values so that we may use values which are not predictable. Let me use another random values like and then you can try with your values, guys, but then if you want it to look like mine, just do the same, and then perhaps at 7, and then 3, 1, or let me use 11, then 4, 7, then 14 perhaps, and then 12. Let me count first of all: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, there are 15 values. And then here also let me change the values so that I think I may use some different values. Let me say 100, and then it was at the 100 speed, and then perhaps 105, 84, and then 105 again, and then perhaps 90, let me use 99, also 90 again, 95, 94, and then 179, 112, 91, 80, 85. And then what I do now what I do, guys, let me just run this code. I think everything is okay. So what I do, let me just visualize. I think it will work. Let me try to run. I'm thinking so guys, basically you can see it has used different colors for different days. So guys, basically these are two plots plotted with two different colors by default, blue and orange. But we'll learn how to change colors later. But then just by comparing the two plots, I think it is safe to say that they both give us the same conclusion, that the newer the car, the faster it drives. So guys, basically you can compare plots by this way, guys. You can compare scatter plots in this way. So let me now show you how you can see by default it just used blue, and this color thing is this color is orange, right? Blue and orange. But then let me now show you how to specify colors. Let me here, I'm gonna add in another parameter perhaps. Let me first of all zoom in a bit. And then here, let me add in another parameter here for color. Then let me assign it to something like red. Let me use red. And then here, I'm gonna assign it to color. Then this color, let it be. You can even use color values. Not a must use color names. You can use color values like for blue, or let me use a green 00. Remember, you begin with a hash for hexadecimal values hash. Then let me say 00 ff00. I think this one is green. Then let me run. Then guys, you can see I've used a red and a green here. You can specify the color, or you can even choose. Let me try black. Even you can use black color name black. Then remember for black the hexadecimal value is a 00 to the end. Let me show you that 00000. Then let me run. And then it gives you the same result. So guys, basically this is how you can color each plot. You can even set a specific color for each dot by using an array of color as values for the C argument. But then you cannot use the color argument for this, only the C argument. Let me guys show you that, but then I think it will be a waste of time. However, guys, for example, if you want to specify, let me just show you guys that though it's gonna be very very hectic, but then let me create a variable here. Let me call it colors. Then let me assign it to a numpy array, the numpy array, and then perhaps let me give it let me give it a numpy array of list of colors. Remember, it must tally with the number of values in the x and y axis. So here let me use np.array, and then here let me pass in a list of color values. Perhaps the first one, let me call it perhaps red. And then what I'm gonna do, guys, let me just first of all let me add a comma. Let me just duplicate this red, then I'll change perhaps this 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15. Here I can even say green. Here I can say black. Here you can say orange. I can say here hot pink. This is the spelling for hot pink. And then I can try even to give it mangeta. This is spelling for my. It should be magenta, ta, not h. And then what else here? Let me call it perhaps blue. Here let me give it gray. Here I can give it purple. And then here let me call it gray. Then here let me call it tomato. Is there a color called tomato? Is it? Yeah, I think there is. Let me call it something like navy blue or a light blue. Let me just call it something like brown. And then what else here? I can give it even pink. Here I can give it white. White, it will not blend with the background. So let me give it something like creamish. I don't know if it will work. Creamish. Not really. I'm not sure if this color exists. Let me just repeat in the perhaps. Let me use cyan. This same cyan. Cyan. Then again I can use another color called perhaps let me call it. Let me use beige here. And then what I do is let me try to add in this. Now here you don't use the color property. We use C for colors, and then here we define colors, because now colors was the variables. Colors was our variables. Then here let me just remove this property so that it may be the way it is. Let me use, and then basically I want to define the second argument for the colors. Let me run and see if it will work. So guys, I think there's an error somewhere. There's an error, but I think I've used a color which doesn't exist. Let me just change this color. Perhaps let me give it blue, and then what is here it should be gray, right? I think this is where things got wrong. Perhaps here you can even use black. I'm sure perhaps there's somewhere Mangeta. Let me run again and see if it will work here, guys. Basically, you can see it does work. So basically, I think there's an issue with the color naming. I think I gave it gray instead of gray. So ensure that you use the correct color names or color values, and then you can do it. You can specify each color in your scatter plot. So guys, basically this is how you can color each plot. But then let me talk about the color map. Now guys, basically Matplotlib module has a number of available color maps. A color map is like a list of colors where each color has a value, and that ranges from 0 to 100. So basically let me show you how to use a color map. Now guys, basically to use you can specify the color map with the keyword argument, a CMap for color map with the values of the color map. In this case, we can use Redis, which is one of the built-in color maps available in Matplotlib. Then in addition, you have to create an array with the values from 0 to 100, one value for each point in the scatter. So what I do is let me use those values instead. So remember, it must be inside this array. It is integer, so perhaps let's begin with 0, and then perhaps let me say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, I can say even 95, 95, or let me say 92, 93. Remember, it must not surpass 100. 94, 93, 94, 95, and then remember there must be 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then here perhaps let me say 100. Let me say 100. I think there are 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then now here we are going to use what? Alright guys, what I do guys, let me just delete what? Let me just delete what I'm gonna do guys, should I just delete this second stuff? Let me just delete this one. Yeah, let me just delete so that we may just use to compare. It will be easier. And then here now, instead of this we can just use C colors, and then also we are gonna use the C map. Let me use C. Let me use a C map. Then we are gonna pass in. We're gonna pass in Viridis, and then so guys, basically to give us the error. So what I'm gonna do, let me try to use the 10. Let me use just 10 and see if it will work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me remove these ones. Also here 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Aish. Let me give it something like 80. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's like 5. And then here let me go with the 80, 90, 100. I think that in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then again there's an error still, and then you can see a value error. X and Y must be the same size. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, it should be 10. Then let me run again. Then finally it's working. So guys, ensure that you have the correct number of values for it to work very well. You must be precise with your codes. So guys, basically this is how you can create a color array and specify a color map in the scatter plot. So also guys, you can include the color map in the drawing by including the plt.color bar statement. So in that case guys, let me show you how to include the color map. So here let me just say, let me add in this property plt dot color should be color bar, and then what I do, let me run again and see if it will appear there. And then guys, basically you can see, and this is how you can include that color map in your graph. And then you can see it's kind of very, very beautiful. Let me talk about the size. You can change the size of the dots with the S argument. Just like colors, make sure that the array for sizes has the same length as the array for X and the Y axis. So guys, do I have to show you? Let me just give you that as an assignment. You can find it on my website. You can do this. Let me just let me just show you. And then here, let me call it sizes. Let me call it sizes, and then for sizes, let it be. Let me just use the same values for the colors, and then here we are gonna pass in S size. So comma. Remember this is a tuple. You must separate with a comma, and then here let's pass in what? let's pass in this argument called sizes. Remember the variable is sizes. Then we are going to pass in not really should be s. Then now you pass in the variable which is sizes. And then what you do, let's run and see if it will work. Let me pray it will not have issues. Yeah, guys, I basically can see this how you can specify the sizes of each plot. Also, guys, you can adjust the transparency of the dots with the alpha argument. Just like colors, make sure that the array for sizes has the same length as the array for the x. So what you do guys, let me add in that parameter called alpha. What I do, let me pass in opacity of 0.5, and then what I do, let me run and see if it will work. And then I guess I can see it's not that visible. Let me perhaps give it something like a 3 or a 3. Let me give it 3. And then I can see it's not visible at all. When you give it 0.0, it will not be visible. It will not be visible at all. But then when you give it 1.0, that's there. Remember, opacity ranges between 0 to 1. So when you give it 1.0, that is, it is totally visible. So guys, basically that's how you can play around with the opacity, the opacity issues. So guys, basically you can play around with those values as much as you want. But then let me just end this tutorial here. You can find the full course on my website. That is, it is in Python. And then you're going to find this full course there. But then for now, guys, I really appreciate you very much for your time. And please subscribe and see you in the next video.